choosing from among 30 of them to get only the best ones, yeah, that's going to be something that's going to make you unhappier with your life. Yeah.
Listening to the pros and cons, and knowing that research seems to be contradicting itself, we're hearing so much about the dangers of social media on stress, on people, the stress of people, anxiety, and yet now the New York Times is publishing this research that says maybe it's not so bad. I wonder if so much of what this comes down to is the temperament and disposition of your child, and in combination with the proper guidance network around you. It sounds like what we've talked about are some different issues here. Like, as a parent, what's happening in our school,
Yeah.
right? As fights are breaking out, and it seems to be at least connected somehow to the social media, as well as what we can do as parents for our own kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if this is the place for it, but it seems as though as a school district, like, I think we need to take into account not just the parents who are, looking at this very explicitly, but also on behalf of the kids that maybe don't have that same guidance network and support network, helping them understand the pros and cons of social media. Like, that's why I think maybe as a school district we need to continue to ask, are we doing enough to provide the proper structure, support, limitations, et cetera, for the kids?
Well, I think that's where Emily's observations are pretty salient, because she works probably with some kids who are impacted because of anxieties and things, and may not have the level of support. And those students are probably going to feel it differently. It's like with anybody, the more resilient you are, the less negative stuff bothers you. Mm-hmm. But if you already have a low level of resilience, then these kinds of things kind of take you
even further
down.
Yeah, and that is what the New York Times, that is the end result of what that article was that if your teenager is already having that problem or having a problem, then social media is not going to make it better, put it that way, and it's probably going to make it worse. So now we're going into the parenting part of this. That's going to be a judgment that each parent is going to have to make about whether or not that the behaviors and the troubles are interfering with everyday life, and to what extent they are, and therefore why we might have to make use of some of the supports that we do have in the schools, like our counselors and our social workers and our school psychs, and all those other supports that we do have in Shaker.
And speaking to the broader question that you were mentioning, is it might be one of those things where we have to figure out how to build respectful support of parents that maybe either because they're unaware or maybe because of their own personal circumstances can't really see the damage that this could do. Mm-hmm. But we have to figure out how to do that in such a way that we're not negating their role or making them feel like they're less than or something is wrong with their parenting style. Because for what they're dealing with, their parenting style may be just what that child needs. You come straight home, you don't talk to anybody, you don't tell anybody where you live, and that might be very effective, but it may not be helping them build the resilience that they need. And so we'll need to be very careful, and I just think Face Academy is probably the best place to try to meld these two things together, the school community piece that we have to have.
Okay, so, in terms of the parenting, as your child starts getting to middle school age, starts wanting to use their phones in different ways, This is what everybody says, this is the first step. So you want to talk about
The first
your-
step, yes. Listen to your child. And I know sometimes that's probably the thing that you say, I do listen to my child, because I know most people think they do listen. But how many of you have ever heard your child say, you're not listening to me? Everybody doesn't have to say yes. It's okay. I'll raise my hand for several people, and people who are not even in this room. And so what I'm asking is that we take advantage of those listening times, maybe even when we aren't even being asked to listen. I call it ear hustling. When you happen to be nearby and they've forgotten that you're even around, paying attention to what you're hearing. The car is fabulous, especially since most of the time, if you've got a kid that doesn't have a driver's license yet, you can still have them in the car and they want to pick up friends, and instead of thinking of that as, oh my God, I gotta go pick up this person and that person, thinking, yay, I can listen in on conversations. So pick up all the friends you possibly can, and in that way, you get to hear even more and more conversations. But the first thing is to listen, even if that means taking some time away from what is really, really important to you. They may be interrupting you while you've got this work report and you've got to get it done, and they come and ask you about something and you think it's some small thing. Look up from your computer. Make some eye contact. Get a gauge on whether or not this is something that's more important than what you're currently doing.
So this quote is from an article in Psychology Today, and the psychologist who wrote that said that kids will time their heart exposing moments, their desire for a heart talk, right when you can't do it. Because that's how they get the acknowledgement that they are still the most important thing to you. So it's crucial to take that time, because that trust that is the most important inoculation. Them trusting you as well as you trusting them. That is the most important inoculation. That's where you get the resiliency. Just like if you're going to trust them at the age of 16 or 17 to get behind the wheel of a 2,500-pound death machine, a car, with the proper guidance and mutual agreement of what's going to happen there, then trusting them with their phones and them trusting you. Now, transparency is also crucial here. What Deb said earlier about how when it's on a school computer, the IT can find out everything that was ever on that computer. That's important to do too. Dr. Damore talks about really the only actual contract that you need with a student, and I know there was somebody who was here who was talking about creating contracts. The most important thing is just that your child knows that you have their passwords. You don't even have to use them. But as long as they know that you can, that is going to be an automatic accountability machine back there in the back of their head. And once they know they're going to be held accountable, just like everybody at any age, they will behave differently. And they will start controlling themselves. So that's super important. Are you really listening or just waiting to talk? We're talking about active listening. We're talking about responding with curiosity rather than lecturing. As educators, we all know that lecturing doesn't work anyway, or hardly ever. So, okay. should we maybe skip over these? These are really cute little 1.5-minute videos, but they're from Common Sense Media, and Deb will talk a little bit about that.
I just want you all to know as parents that we are a Common Sense Media certified district, not just each school, but the entire district. So every district in our building has been certified. That means every student in our building gets citizenship curriculum. So we go through how to use the computer responsibly, what should you do, what shouldn't you do. And so those are the kinds of things that are very clearly laid out for each kid in an age-appropriate way, and we use Common Sense Media curriculum.
So what we were going to do was play 2 different videos that are about 4.5 minutes each, and then break up into 2 groups. But since we're under time pressure now, I'd like to ask the parents here, by, a vote, which would you rather watch? There's one, now these are Common Sense Media videos, both of them are gonna be, you can watch them at home, and these are some that I really recommend watching with your teen.
They're real life students.
They are teen voices. One is called The Pressure to Stay Connected. Teens talk about what they love and worry about when it comes to their phones. And the other one is Digital Drama. Teens discuss how quickly conflicts can escalate online. Do we have a sense of the room? Which one we'd rather
Take a look.
Let's do the first, because we already talked about the.
The digital drama one? Okay. Don't show notifications, and I hope this actually comes up. Because this one really should be.
You're part of the district, this is logged on to.
Yeah, this is logged on to my account in the district. Is this a phenomenon, does this happen, Keith? Oh, that's sad. Because there's no real substitute for,
No, this one was a really,
these are great.
Are these actual interviews with teenagers?
Yes,
Yes,
these are actual
actual
interviews with teenagers.
Okay.
both of them are.
You know,
So at the least, we
Diverse-
could get it down,
Sorry?
write it down and make sure.
Just before you got into this, was there something you did class to make it accessible to the shaker?
no,
She's
it's-
actually logged on in
I'm
her
logged
shaker
on.
account.
Oh, got it.
I'm logged on. It is, yeah, it's just not.
So it's just a signal.
Yeah, it's just the signal not
So
coming.
is that computer like on a Wi-Fi or?
No, it's
Yeah,
plugged
it's
into the
a hard-
system, yeah.
What is it, because we're in the basement?
I don't know, it's supposed to be plugged into the basement, so commonsense.org, here, wait, let's see.
There was something that happened.
Yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
here we go.
But it's not gonna play, I'll bet you it's not gonna play.
There's no picture, I mean.
Yeah,
there's
it's just not loading.
Yeah.
So, you
If
can
let it
sort of
keep- It might load
see,
after a while.
if I go, you see that there are, while I'm doing homework, the pressure to stay connected, you got a brother and sister, you can tell from the background here, she's saying it gives me so much. That kid on, it's fun, there's always somebody to talk to.
I think I got you, Bonnie.
Yeah. Do you got it? Is that going to,
Can you change it over?
yay, maybe? Yeah, I'm not
No,
sure where it
Chromebooks have
is.
to have a special connector.
Right, I need an HDMI,
Yeah,
which this
we don't have.
Which this doesn't have. Okay, so,
You could show
It's
them
on
this-
like my, I don't want to listen to this, but I can get it on my
Put his
phone.
laptop right
Yeah.
here and show it to everyone?
yeah, okay,
You can put it here.
all right.
I must not be on, I'm not on the shaker.
You're not on
I'm
the
on,
shaker?
Brett.
Is it going? Is it playing?
Yeah, well, in a second.
a lot. More than I can count. I check it usually when I wake up in the morning. Before school, on the bus ride to school. During school. A couple times each class. At lunch. Probably check it at break. After school. Walking home. While I'm doing homework. I'm constantly checking my phone until I go to bed.
So maybe make, in your Face Academy
personally,
notebooks, you
positives
can
of
make a
social
couple
media
of notes
are
about what
The
jumps
biggest
out
part
at
is
you.
that I feel connected. It's a way for me to talk to my friends at all times. When I don't have it, it really feels like I'm on another planet. I don't really wish for the days when I didn't have my phone because it gives me so much like stuff that I cherish.
I think I really enjoy social media when I am discussing issues with like-minded people or talking about things I'm very passionate about.
I like to make artwork and write, and so sometimes I'll use that as a platform to display my art. It's fun. I like posting, I like editing pictures. Like, it's just fun to be able to talk to my friends all the time.
Yeah, I never really feel depressed or anything like that. Just because there's always somebody to talk to and always somebody that's there for you. That's kind of a good thing about social media.
It has definitely created a pressure for people to like keep on doing it, and I know that it's basically to keep them on the app.
The autoplay kind of helps in binge watch because, like, if I don't get to the remote and click back, then it's just keeps on playing. It is like keep track of the episodes and hours when you're binge watching. I think that is definitely part of it.
I only have to wait 3 seconds to see what happens next, so.
I watched about 10 to 12 episodes in a day one time when I still was home from school. And I finished the first season in one day. You know, I've done that twice.
There's been times where I've planned on just watching like one video, but then I just kept watching more because they're recommended, and then it just keeps going, and all of a sudden 10 times passed.
You know, sometimes when I'm really into the show, but I have something else I need to do, it's very hard to decide if I should click out or not. But it starts playing the next episode, I'm like, oh, it won't hurt, just one more. You find yourself like 2 hours later, and you're still watching it, and you have homework to get done. I would say that I'm definitely hooked on my phone. I'm very dependent on it, is the word I would use. I feel that I'm very aware of this, and I'm not very happy about it.
Sometimes I wish that social media didn't have as much of an impact on my life.
I'll work, and then every once in a while I'll be like, okay, I'll take a break, and then I'll go back and check again, and then I'll check for too long, and then I waste a bunch of time that way.
It really makes you feel less whole when you realize you're putting so much energy into something that's on a little box in your hand.
It's something new, it's always exciting, it keeps your attention, and that constant turnover of adding new things definitely contributes to the amount of time people spend on it.
Okay, thanks, Anna. Yeah. So what jumped out at you guys? Just real quick. I saw a lot of reactions to the YouTube thing, or Netflix or whatever, yeah.
One thing I was thinking of when they were talking about binging, I mean, like, I think for many adults, you know, you get into those moments as well. Like, if it's a Netflix show or something like that, I mean, I think there's that tendency, and certainly we have to just be more cognizant of when it's taking us down that rabbit hole. And then the question becomes, do young people, to what degree have they developed that capacity to say, today, time to stop, because I have this to do, you know? I think we just have to be super aware of that, both as parents and teachers, and what kids are getting involved in.
Do you guys have any comments about, or maybe thoughts about how you want to talk to your kids in order to develop that capacity to say no?
I feel like one message is just, I remember parents saying like, delay it as long as possible, because once they have it, like it's impossible to take it back. And so I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to tell parents of younger kids that, and maybe even to have a panel of junior high parents talking to elementary parents about, you know, that That's a possibility
Mhm.
to just pop through my head, to just say, you know, the longer you can delay it, the better, because once they've got it, it's really hard, and I think the kids are telling us that. You know, I think that's what I hear from my kids, is that they even don't like it sometimes, but they feel like if they don't look at it, like, one of the things is, it's a silly thing, like making plans. Like, that drives one of my kids crazy, like, if they're trying to make plans. Like, in the past, we'd have to call somebody up, like, okay, I'll meet you at the movie at such and such a time, or whatever. And nowadays, it's like nonstop, right? It's all these people in group chats, and oh, we're gonna do this, and then 20 seconds later, no, we're doing this, or no, we're doing this, and I think that's exhausting. So some of it is stuff that they can't even control. So I guess.
That's exhausting for me. I'm just like, just tell me when to show up already, you know, like.
Right. And I think it's hard on them. For one of my kids, it's just really stressful for them. And there's kind of not, it's hard because I don't know how to fix that, right? There's all these things that they don't know how to fix. And then the second thing I'll say is middle school, I guess I have 2 boys. Middle school boys, you know, hormonal, adolescents, they have no self, I mean, like,
Right.
so asking them to make decisions in their best interest even, I don't know, maybe I just raised horrible kids.
No.
I have great kids, but I think we're asking too much to put it all on them, I guess is what I wanna say, in terms of making good decisions.
Totally agree.
I think it's okay to make limits, is what I'm saying. Because I don't think they have the capacity.
Understanding brain development.
Yeah.
That's what I
Right, and
think.
that's, and right,
Their
and we're
brain's
talking
just
about waiting for
very-
as long as possible, that's what we know about like addiction too, like
Right.
the
Exactly.
later you start doing any of
Exactly.
those things, right, having any of those
Mhm.
addictive tendencies, like the
Right.
easier it is for you to control those impulses.
And it opens up the same pathways in the
Mhm.
brain,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
while it may be true it releases OxyContin, it also, it's the same, the addiction to the phones.
Mhm.
Every time they hear a buzz, a like,
Mhm.
anything, it's the
It's-
same
it's a
pathway
big, yeah.
as a shot of heroin. And so
It's
to
same-
ask
yeah.
them to put it away, and I think we get into
It's
these
too hard.
battles.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Where
And
we
then-
expect them to be able to
Mhm.
regulate themselves. We don't even regulate ourselves, and our brains were fully developed.
Yeah.
And we got to our 26 years before we had any of this, and they're not. And so I think if we're gonna call ourselves, you know, like, if we're gonna educate kids, or we're gonna say that we're educating the whole child, I think we have to keep in mind where their brains are developmentally, and how sometimes you're setting them up. It's a
Right.
huge
That's right.
setup to tell them to regulate themselves at school, because they absolutely cannot. In general, some can.
Yet.
Yeah,
Yet.
but I'm saying
Yet.
they, you know,
I
I'm
mean,
talking about
if
the
you,
young ones.
and how do you see, if you see that they are stressed out, then that is an opportunity to point that out to them. So the opportunity, and this is part of what Lisa DeMoore talks about a lot, that noticing when they are not liking this and just pointing that out to them, then you offer yourself as a sounding board to what they can do about it. That's then giving them the agency to decide to what they want to do, but not without support. It's a support rather than a limit. Yeah?
I was just gonna ask, are there different, like, I mean, I know there are differences, but is anything been proven about the differences in gender and how they adapt or don't get as sucked in now, you know, boys versus girls?
Well, Lisa DeMoore's latest book I just recently started, and she obviously is focused on girls because she's at Laurel.
Right.
And also she has girls. But what she said is that there are no differences between boys and girls that aren't there already. It's the same theme over and over again. So just as girls mature earlier than boys, and also tend to get much more emotionally reactive and take on their own problems and blame themselves for things more, for whatever reason, socialization, whatever. Same thing happens with this. So it is actually, she does raise the alarm about how badly things are going for girls, how much worse they're going for girls than for boys. Between the ages of, I think she said 11 and 17. And how much worse it's been in the past 10 years and gotten in the past 10 years. But it's again, it's different rates, same form, or same format.
And I think to Megan's point, you didn't explicitly say it, but I think you were implying it, that it doesn't matter if it's the same as we dealt with in terms of rumors and gossip and conflicts and feeling left out. We got to escape from it, and we had a respite from it when we were kids, which could be home or our sport or our activities or whatever we did that was not at school, but this is a 24/7
Right, and it's permanent,
access,
like
and
when
it's
someone calls you a
happening.
name, like when you're in middle
Yes.
school, like that goes away and nobody remembers, like, you know,
Right.
maybe they
Right.
do, depending
It's
on how
just
horrible
yeah.
that was, but right, when you put it like on
Yeah.
digitally, like it's there forever.
Right.
Right.
Whenever.
And you sometimes put it out there impulsively and then regret you put it out
Yeah.
there, but you
Right,
can't
right.
take it back.
And more people see it,
Mhm.
it's the scope.
But they're
Right.
sitting home a lot in their rooms
Mhm.
alone, and they say they feel
Right, and
connected,
that's what I
but they
keep,
also feel isolated when
Mhm.
they're seeing.
and that's what I keep thinking about, like how do we give kids the tools to learn when like we know that like mistakes are like
Yeah.
oftentimes the best teachers, and like how do we do that in school when like, I don't know, that's such a, I don't know, there's issues of free, there's like, you know, all these like public-private issues,
Right,
like how to learn.
yeah, privacy's huge.
Yeah.
Can I say something about the state question you had up on the last slide,
Mm-hmm.
like strategies?
Yeah.
And this is obviously one small thought, but I speak thinking of my daughter, who's 13, but also, I first wanted to say, I went with a group of students to Laos last year for a service project at spring break. And we had no connection to anything for 9-10 days. And to the person, every kid admitted how rejuvenating it was, how nice it was. They missed friends, they missed family, but that they just didn't have their screens, their phones, that constant 24/7 or whatever it is for them, constantly pulling them away from the present moment, from being engaged. And I know we all know that, but so therefore, I think that one of the strategies we have to find for our own families is how do we find those times to turn it off and unplug. You know, for me, it's making my daughter go on hikes, and you know, but I can't do that every day, right? But still, like getting away, we have times where we have very set times where all of us, my husband, myself, and my daughter, our phones are put here. We literally put them in another room. Certainly at a certain time of day, everyone's put their phones in another room, so we're not getting near them. When we are obviously going out to eat or we're doing something together, then we're doing it without our phones. And those are little ways, but I think we have to keep reminding ourselves that even when the kids are saying that they really get a lot out of it, and I'm sure they do, like, there's so much to be said as well for unplugging.
Yeah,
pressing pause.
and it's important to do that as a family, right?
Right.
Because not say that you have to stop your phone,
Right.
but I get to, because it's work, and work is important, and your life is not important. But that everybody does it, and what you get out of not being plugged in all the time.
Right, and I think all the research definitively shows
Yes.
that sleep, lack of sleep is a huge downfall of this digital age, and that if parents could do nothing else but take the phone away at a certain time of night, an hour before they go to sleep, and make sure they don't have access, you're doing the biggest favor and thing to your kids that you could possibly do. And like, you can just expect that they'll fight you on it and give you all kinds of reasons they need it for an alarm. And if you just go into expecting it, it's not a battle, or you just tell them, I do this for you and it's a family rule, and when you move out, you can sleep with it lodged in your ear if you want, but like, for now, this is just it's something that we're gonna insist on and not battle about just our family rule, and then to your point, you have to do it
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, probably hard
Have to
for a
be.
lot of people
Yeah.
to do, especially if you're reading books on your online thing.
yeah.
Yeah, but
And
the sleep issue is really impacting
sleep,
kids.
the-
And I
yeah.
work with kids, the kids
Yeah.
tell me every day that they haven't slept and they were on their phones half the night or till 1 in the morning, till 3 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
binge watching. I mean, I hear it all the time. And
Yeah.
when I ask kids at the middle school, hey, what would you say, what do you think about my idea to take these phones away from you guys during school? And they'll be like, oh, Ms. Geyer, that's crazy, you can't do that. And like this one girl's like, I'll change school districts, you know? So, and then you talk to them and it literally just takes like 15 minutes and you ask them all, then they all come around like, well, yeah, these are all the
Maybe.
negative impacts, and yeah, you get used to it, and yeah, it'd probably be good, and oh, when I lost my phone for a week, it really felt awesome after a day, it was terrific, you
Well,
know.
that's
and
what it is.
I think, yeah,
But they
and
know
just
if
not
I-
Yeah.
judging
Yeah, I
them.
checked my son's phone, and I thought he would really push back, and he hasn't. The younger
Right.
ones.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
think if you can talk to them in a way that they don't feel judged and you're not like this old person who doesn't get it, okay boomer, whatever, and not like, I can't believe and it's ridiculous the way you're always on your phone. Well, it's not ridiculous, the phones were built that way, and I think it's really important to talk to them about, you know, it's a bunch of rich people in Silicon Valley who sat in rooms and decided how to hijack your brain and decided how to manipulate you, and they've figured it out, and they themselves didn't let their kids use phones or iPads. Steve
Mhm.
Jobs, Bill Gates, all these people, because they know what they created, and you know, they're kind of getting over on you, and
Yeah.
you know, it's
Yes.
not, and so it's understandable why you would want to have your phone all the time, and it's nothing to be judging about or blaming, but you just need help
Mm-hmm.
keeping it balanced, you know, and using it when it's good, but having a
And
break
that
from it.
is that word balance, that's actually a big part of this Common Sense Media. So I have we have at the back here, these are all the stuff that the articles that we used. But for Common Sense Media, there's a whole bunch more links. Now, I saw some of you took this tip sheet that we printed out back there from Common Sense Media about different things, ways to talk about having your kids form positive relationships online and be aware of non-positive, problematic relationships. But there are tip sheets. I'm sure you can't read any of this because it's all, the weird lighting is so weird. But there's one on cyberbullying, and they're done by K to 12, device-free moments K to 5, so up to 5th graders. And media balance, that's a whole curriculum that they have for 6th through 12th grade. And they just have these tip sheets, and these are at the end of the, these are all linked, so you can